I was like,
who cares?
Yeah.
Like I said, if it bothers you as a man or a
Hey,
woman,
my check.
I mean, that race was like, who the guy who came in 7th?
how fast they've gotten in the last 8 years.
Is the track playing a role too? All right, good evening, everyone, to our Paris 2024 stream here as we talk all things Olympics. Of course, jam-packed stuff. Oh my goodness, where do we even begin? Yeah.
It was a big weekend, so let's try and catch you all up on all the action that we've seen. There's one track and field competition that has people talking online. If you missed it, we've got it. Noah Lyles, the fastest man in the world, finishing just 0.005 of a second quicker than Jamaica's Kashane Thompson.
Now, experts say Lyles won by a torso. I mean, it was to the point I feel like he said that he didn't even think that he won.
Yeah, but that's kind of what he's known for, is like he's worked on this lean right at the, because if you lean too early, it actually slows you down. Right. But you got to lean in. And when you see the replays, you realize how he won, because his shoulders got across the line, even though what's his name, Thompson from Jamaica, was actually looked like he was a little bit ahead of him.
Well, his foot touched the line. It's
Yeah.
not the foot that touches the line
No.
first that allows you to win, but you're right. Jamaica's Thompson's in that photo line finish. You can definitely see two other feet. It's Thompson's and another guy's foot before Lyle's, but obviously his head is sticking out
Did you
before
see
anyone
the
else.
speed thing? I like the speed analysis they did. They showed in the first 50 meters, everybody's accelerating, and then the second 50 meters, everybody was slowing down except for Noah Lyles. He was still accelerating, and that's
Yeah.
how he caught everybody. It was crazy.
Well, it didn't look like he
amazing.
had a great start. I used to run a
his
little
start
bit
was
here
not
and there,
very
but
good.
it was not, and he caught up quickly, as you can tell. Maybe that was why his acceleration
Yeah.
was in the second half of that race. But the 100-meter dash, man, you blink and you miss that.
My kids were watching it with me, and I was showing, and they were like, "Dad, that's short." I said, "It's so much technique. It's like little things they do, like you said, the start,
Posture.
the way they lean, the way they get out of the I mean,
And their head barely moves. If you
Yeah.
watch a sprinter, their head barely moves. If there's too much movement in the head, it's wasted motion.
Yeah,
So-
anything side to side doesn't progress you forward. So
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
crazy that it takes a lot of practice. It's just not raw speed because there's a lot of fast people, but the technique is really crucial, and that's a great example of it.
Well, not that this contributed, to any one particular person winning, but we were talking about the makeup of the track itself too, and how
Oh,
that kind
yeah.
of, plays into the overall.
Been a lot of records
Yeah.
so far and a lot of fast times. You saw records on the track and also in the field events as well. Pole vault record was set today as well. When you see that, it's pretty amazing.
You researched that. You were saying it was made of.
Muscle shells.
Wow.
Yeah.
So interesting stuff. I mean, it does. Obviously, we talk about it in football, right?
Yeah.
When you're talking about the turf.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing when you're trying to get all those forward mechanics in sprinting.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. You were talking also about the speed since Rio. Man, these men have gotten a lot faster in the last 8 years as well. So it's crazy to see how humans continue to evolve.
Yeah, and it's great to see the U.S. have 3 in the finals, and the third American came in 7th, and that's what we were talking about. If this was Rio, he would have medaled. That's how fast this heat was. The 7th place person in this 100-meter final would have got a medal back in Rio.
Yeah.
Well, totally different sport. Sorry, I know we're just really talking about
No,
this, but
yeah.
Colin, you were talking about how we just seem to be getting faster and faster. I remember for swimming, them talking about really, really analyzing the form of a person,
Yeah.
getting into the nitty gritty, and if you turn your head this way or you keep your head down in a certain angle versus what you're usually swimming at,
Yeah.
like even the slightest change. And I feel like we're getting into that realm of racing, right?
My college track coach always said, listen, it's the start, right? How you start is really going to be how you finish. So like I was talking about, that forward momentum, as fast as you get up on those blocks and then get your momentum, you don't want it over your body, you want
Yeah.
it centered. So Noah's got that down as well as the other men that were racing. I think we're going to see a close race.
We get to see him in the 200. He's trying to do the double, which would be
Qualified for that.
amazing. He's actually
Yeah.
better in the 200 than the 100.
That's a tough race.
exciting.
That's a tough race too. As a sprinter, you do not want to race that race.
Yeah, it's a little bit longer, but you're also running that curve, which is
True.
tough.
Yep, you got to come out of it accelerating.
Yeah.
We just have so much to talk about with this one topic. I love it.
Track and field's great.
I love it. We're getting ushered along, though, by the voice in our ear saying it's time to head to the mat. Team USA gymnasts did not medal for the first time since 2000 in the balance beam competition.
Yeah, unfortunately, Simone and Suni, they both fell. And it was weird because people have actually strung together a couple of these falls, and it was in the same exact place. So I don't know if they're going to look at the beam at all. I'm just putting that out there. Not a conspiracy, but they just put it together on
Soft
X.
spot on the beam there.
Yes. Just weird, but it did knock them out of contention, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, you're right in that a lot of athletes fell, and Suni Lee, we see here on the right
That does
there,
not look good.
one of the people who fell. She was interviewed afterwards, and she said that it was actually, this is an interesting, I don't want to say explanation for what happened, but she said it was eerily quiet in her opinion, and it made her feel a little bit off. Which
I can understand that.
Well, and I was thinking back to, I don't know if you remember during COVID when MLB was trying to play the games and nobody could be in the ballparks.
Right.
And so they basically played in these empty ballparks.
hear
And a
everything.
lot of the baseball players then were like, it is just
Weird.
so quiet, it
Yeah.
is messing me up just a little bit.
Yeah, they're used to hearing something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of the people, we've talked about this before. I saw Tom Brady in the audience watching Simone Biles.
Oh.
I think a lot of these athletes sometimes, and even the people, are just awestruck by the people that they're seeing on the mat, but sometimes also in the
A
audience.
lot
too.
of celebrities at some of these events.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just impressed. I mean, I don't know if it's Paris or it's post-COVID. It's just a lot of famous people going to the Olympics, and it seems like they're just there to enjoy the Olympics.
Yeah, well, as we know in Tom Brady's situation, he's got a huge gig coming up in the
Yeah.
fall. So I think for him,
Probably practicing a little bit.
We're actually going to talk about him in just a little bit.
we
too.
are. So Italy taking
Yeah.
home the gold and bronze, and China won silver there.
Yeah.
Italy's actually a first gold in women's artistic gymnastics.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So that is cool to see.
Yeah. All right. So meantime, Brazilian gymnast Rebecca Andrade dominated the floor performance. I mean, her first pass, I mean, you could just tell she was ready to go. Her vibes were good. She led all the way to gold. Simone Biles scored silver, followed by Jordan Childs with bronze. There's a cool picture of both of them, Childs and Biles, both like waving her on and like just giving her that podium. You can see she's been through so much. All three of those women have. The American gymnasts showing their respect and playfully bowing down to their competitor. But I mean, it was a fierce competition.
Yeah, and they're all really close friends too.
They are.
It's amazing. I saw Simone in the stands for a lot of the individual events, cheering on, which is great to see. It she appreciates great gymnastics just as good as she is, and she's a goat. But she loves watching other gymnasts do great.
By the way, that picture you talked about being pretty iconic, it's actually the first all-black gymnastics podium.
Yeah,
That's
amazing.
fantastic.
So that's pretty exciting for a lot
I mean,
of
it's going to
folks.
live in the history books.
Yeah.
That's wild. So those three women, there's more to come, I do believe, not just necessarily on the mat, but also in life. So I'll talk about this. Sweden-American athlete Armand Duplantis has officially set the world record in the men's pole vault.
I watched that live. It was amazing.
It was exciting, but his reaction too, right?
Yeah, so he set this up. He actually already won the gold. So he could have just finished and been done, right?
I see.
So he had them raise the bar up to the world record height, and he went again just to see if he could break it, and he did. And the stands, and he just went crazy. 6.25 meters. The United States, I believe, got silver in this, but it was amazing to see that. It's kind of cool when you see him, like knowing you already won and you're just doing it to see if you can do it.
Well, you know, we should mention too, he has broken the world record 9 times now.
Wow.
So maybe he's, used to the flair of the moment. And
he was good. I mean,
doesn't
pole
get shaken
vault is
by
not
it.
for the faint of heart. You think it's just, the pole does the work, but there's a lot of acrobatics involved because they're basically pushing their body up, and then the way you let go of the pole and work your body over that, because they're going up, they're kind of bending around the pole. It's just like the high jump. When you watch the men and women do that with the Fosbury flop, it's like amazing that they can curve their body around that and knock it over.
It's a lot of practice, that's
Yeah.
for sure. And obviously your body has to be good at contorting itself in the air.
You're basically going upside down, 6.5 meters up there, and it's like, you better hope that mat's
I mean,
there.
these people are basically gymnasts and they're above 6 feet.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'd be afraid I'd stab myself with the pole
That's what
on the
I
way
always
down.
worry.
I don't know why. That's a fear.
Well, yeah, because you got to push the pole away because you're always worried it's going to fall back
Yeah.
to where you're falling. So you got to always push it off when you're going over. It's crazy.
Well, folks who are curious, he's actually from Louisiana. He attended LSU for a year before dropping out to focus on his athletic career, which obviously was
Long
a good
way from
decision.
Louisiana,
I don't
that's
know.
for
You see a lot of the international track athletes, they usually always are at U.S. colleges because the best track teams
Competition.
in the world are here.
Yeah,
So they'll come here and train and go back and then represent their countries back home.
Yeah, cool to see.
Okay, 3x3.
Oh.
We're back to it. We're talking about it
Little
again.
redemption, though. They didn't do bad,
I think so.
Yeah.
For a rough start, they did pretty good.
Yes, they did lose their quest for gold against Spain, but U.S. women's basketball defeated Canada for bronze in that 3x3 competition.
Yeah, the team includes, of course, Wake Forest Erica Hamby and Butler grad Sierra Burdick, who we know a lot about, and they really put on a display today.
Yeah. It was an ugly defensive battle. The team didn't hit any twos. They knocked down all of their baskets from the 1-point range and the free throw line.
Wow.
At one point with Canada, it did not look good for the United States.
Yeah.
But obviously they lost their first 3,
Yeah.
tore back, winning their next 4 to 5. They lost to Spain earlier today, which is what put them into the bronze medal game.
Yeah.
But we've been talking about this. Obviously, with who went down, Cameron Brink, I'm not sure many people expected the United States to even be on the podium for this because it takes an immense amount of work in the background to work together and to bring a team like this. So I got to hats off to them.
Yeah, bronze
Short
medal
amount of
is a
time.
huge
Yeah.
accomplishment
Humongous.
considering they were 0-3 in pool play and they were starting with a brand new team. That's just amazing what
I think
they've
it
done.
was like
Olympic athletes.
Thursday when we were talking about them last all together here, and they were bottom of the standings.
Yeah, I mean, they turned it around.
What a great
they
comeback.
needed
There you
to.
go, yeah.
Don't give up. That's good. That's a good tip right there.
Totally right.
All right, Tom Brady, we're back to chat. Okay, USC women's basketball head coach Dawn Staley could not contain her excitement after meeting the best quarterback of all time, apparently.
Yeah, so here's the photo. There's a number of photos. There's another photo of her like being in awe of the two shaking hands. They did hug here. That's Tom Brady. In an Instagram post, Staley says, "Don't ever look directly into this man's eyes. They're seriously beautiful." She even went on to say that his hands are just as beautiful. I also saw Tom Brady in the party for the basketball team, the men's team, hugging Savannah, LeBron's wife.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Very interesting there. People are taking different takes on X, but it was a cool, two greats of two sports.
Yeah.
And then obviously Don saying how beautiful he is. I
goats
wonder.
hanging out together.
Yeah, it looked like LeBron went too
man.
happy. Like, get your hands on my wife. Anyway, though, it's good to see.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to talk about golf
Oh,
because
my goodness,
I
this
watched a lot
picture.
of golf, and this Scotty Scheffler is the #1 golfer in the world.
Yeah.
And I think this year he's won something just under $30 million, right? In the Olympics, he does not get
It's like 37,000. The 37,000.
It's like basically nothing,
Yeah,
right?
it's a prize, yeah.
And he won the gold medal coming back with 4 birdies down the stretch, and he just lost it during the national anthem. It really shows how important this was to him, which is amazing for Scotty Scheffler. The other thing about him, not only is he the #1 golfer in the world, he's a very stoic guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't. That's one of the things that makes him a great golfer. He doesn't get too high or low.
Even when he was arrested.
Yeah, he's
there
just
was no
like
emotion.
Oh, my
even
goodness,
keeled.
yeah.
So to see him, I think he realized how much this meant. And honestly, if you probably ask him, I bet this means more than a lot of the winnings he had this year, because it was a great comeback too. Tommy
He
Fleetwood.
was 6 shots behind.
Yeah, Tommy Fleetwood came in second, and I saw one of the golf commentators made a really good point. He's like, he likes watching Olympic golf. It's like if you had every week on the PGA Tour where only the top 3 people got money. He says you would see golf like this all the time because they were going at it. I mean, it was like back and forth.
Hole for hole. Like I said, he was 6 shots back, and that was at the halfway point.
4 birdies down the stretch.
So-
Just came out of nowhere because
Yeah.
Xander Schauffele was way up there. He actually went the other direction. He fell off the table there.
Well-
And, then Tommy Fleetwood came out. And John Rahm was up there as well, another famous golfer out of Spain.
They also had the birth of a child,
Yeah.
right? He had that tumultuous situation in Louisville.
Yeah.
So I think all of this kind of put it all together. Cherry on top for him this year. And as you said, I mean, you don't see a lot of emotion, but it was cool to see.
He could have said, he's the #1 golfer in the world. He's loaded. He's won all these tournaments. He could have said no to the Olympics, but he didn't. And I think it shows you why. He said yes because it meant a lot to him.
I mean, he's going on the Ryder Cup team. He's our shining light, right?
Yeah.
To your point about the impact of, feeling the emotions of playing for a country. I feel like it was on the first day after golf started, some of the golfers were interviewed, and I think it was Day who said something like, I kept getting distracted by seeing like my country's colors on my uniform and stuff, because it just like really brought home the pressure of it and just how momentous it is.
Colin made a
to be
good point.
representing it.
Ryder Cup, President's Cup, those are team play. But normally golf is a singular. You're playing for
playing for-
yourself. This is an event where you're playing for a team in your country. So it's pretty cool to see that.
Don't get to do that often. So it was good to see him tear up a little bit. I think a lot of folks at home were tearing up.
Made him more human. I think he'll be more likable. I mean, he's already very popular, but he's #1 golfer in the world. I think, I don't want to say he's Tiger-esque, but he's playing.
He's robotic in that sense.
Yeah. So
He's
it's nice to
just
have a little bit of personality or
systematic.
something. So I think the fans can embrace him more.
Yeah. I mean, he's a likable guy already. So.
We just got to give him the quail. I mean, Next year.
Well, he'll
PGA
be back at the
Championship.
PGA.
Yeah,
I
he'll
mean,
be-
Come
we're
to
looking
Charlotte,
forward
we'll
to
make
that.
you cry.
There we go.
In a good way.
Not arresting you, that's for sure.
In a good way. Oh, well, how lucky are we to have so many great topics to chat about coming off of this weekend?
Yeah, we're blessed to
I
have that,
love
that's
the
for
Olympics.
sure.
I'll be honest with you. It's like every 4 years when it comes around, you think, I'm going to watch some of it. And then it just, for whatever reason, I can't get enough of it. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's like The Godfather. Time I want out, they pull me back
Pull you
in.
right back in. Yeah.
Turn on NBC, and then you just stay there for a couple of hours.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just like, I'm just going to watch for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Hour goes by. 2 hours. Like, I'm
Yeah.
still watching. You're
Yeah.
watching all this random stuff. It's amazing.
Well, they throw in so many good sports in between.
Yeah,
If there's
I
a
think that's
lull
what
in
makes it
something
great.
too, which there are. There's breaks. There's time that they got to rest. They got to get water. So NBC's done a good job. Hopefully you've been watching at home.
Yeah,
a lot of it.
I think so.
I think the numbers say that.
Not too much. Not too much time.
All right, we're getting the wrap because we got to get ready for our 7 o'clock newscast on the air. So before we say goodbye, we just want to say thanks for joining us, and we'll give you a look at the current medal count. U.S. is still on top, 78, followed by China, 53, and then France, Great Britain, and Australia rounding out the top 5.
And tonight on Prime Time, there's a lot of stuff full of star athletes. It's gymnastics up first. Simone Biles and Suni Lee take on the balance beam. Next up, track and field.
Yes, round 1 of the men's 200-meter heats, and then it is back to floor competition.
Yes, and then back to track and field, the women's 800-meter final. Then you can end the night with us, please. Our late newscast happening at 11 o'clock. We will see you in about 10 minutes for our